Hello. Hi everyone. Good morning. Welcome back. As part of the today's session, we are gonna study a brief overview on a REST. So first of all, what exactly a REST is, and then we will also study what exactly a web service is, how are we gonna handle these web services, what is a request, what is a response, all these points we are gonna study for the next few minutes. So what exactly a REST is? Representational state transfer, which itself is a REST, and it is a software architecture which is used for creating a web services. As said, we will see what exactly about a web services in the next few minutes. This REST uses HTTP protocol for communication, internal communication, and in order to overcome the limitation of a SOAP, this REST is developed. And of course, this REST makes the web services lightweight, and in REST, the data can be represented in the form of a text or a JSON or an XML files also. And considering a web service which are developed using the REST architecture, we call them as a RESTful APIs. Spring Boot or a Jersey framework or the commonly used Java frameworks in creating a web service. There are certain guiding principles basically which anyone needs to follow while creating a web service. There are client server, stateless, cacheable, uniform interface, layered system, and a code on demand. These are if at all we want to create any kind of a RESTful web services, we should follow these guidelines which were set by the REST architecture. Fine, that's fine. So we understood what exactly a REST is. Then, what is a web service? Why we need to learn this one, right? A system that can be accessed over the web via different application. So a web service is a system basically it can be accessed via web from another system. So consider this a small example here which we have a client and as well as a server. The system one we can consider it as a client and the system 2 we can consider it as a server. So ideally the server is having some set of a functions inside that, and the client will request the information and server will send the response to that particular client. So the server is the one which is processing the request and client is the one which is accessing or asking for some information. So let us see another small example with which we can easily understand this web service in a better way. So if you see this particular application, I'm working on a Amazon.com. Ideally, not only Amazon.com, consider the Flipkart.com or any other payment gateway integrated applications. Amazon.com, a Flipkart, Snapdeal, or a Book My Show, or our website, Libby.com, all these things. These needs a payment gateway, right? So, which means if at all a user want to purchase something, definitely they need to finish the payment and then they will be redirecting back to the source application, and from there they can access the products whatever they have a purchase. That's what the ultimate objective is. So here if you consider there are a multiple payment gateways are there, one among those is a Razorpay. So Razorpay is a payment gateway. So what we have done from a Razorpay perspective, they have developed their web services. So which means these web services can be used by Amazon.com, or these web services can be integrated with a Flipkart.com or a Libby.com or any other payment gateways. So what they have done, whatever the customized code they have created in completing the payment, they converted their code into a web service. On a simple terminology, I can call it as a link using the Spring Boot framework basically. So what it will happen, from Amazon.com we will send a HTTP request to that particular link which internally connects to the Razorpay payment gateway, and once after the payment was successful, again it will revert back the response to that particular client. Hence I can consider this client Amazon.com, Snapdeal, whichever the applications we are considering, those are our clients, and the server basically the payment gateway web services. So we will be getting those web services and we will be integrating those web services with our application. Ideally we can call a client as a system which is waiting for the response, and the server which is processing the request, which is sending that particular information. Perfect. Ideally, whenever you are dealing with any kind of HTTP methods or any kind of API chunks, the commonly used HTTP methods are put, post, get, delete, and a patch. In detail about this one, anyways, we are gonna see moving ahead. So whenever this client, okay, if you see the above picture, whenever the client is requesting for some information, definitely the client should send some information, and in return the server should send some info as a response. So ideally, for any kind of a situation, if at all you are processing a request, there should be a request header which is an optional, and a request body which is an optional, a method. Basically, among all these five, you need to specify the method. If I want to get some information from the application, I can use a get, basically, for which the header and a body are optional. For suppose if I want to create an entry into my application where I need to send in my user details, my email ID, my entire information, all those details, where in which the body is required. So here, based on the HTTP method, we will be passing these request details. And in the response, we will be getting a response body, we will be getting a response header, and in return, we are gonna get the status code also. Ideally, based on the status code itself, we will be doing the assertions whether we got an appropriate response from the server or not. All those things we are gonna verify, guys. Okay, so this is all about a brief overview on a REST and as well as a web service. Moving ahead, we will continue with the further topics. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye bye.